Stand up right now. Go ahead. I'll wait. Now, notice how your body feels. A bit stiff? Tired? Maybe even foggy? Here's something most seniors don't realize. That mental dullness, that slipping memory, might not be just aging at all. According to the National Institute on Aging, nearly 50% of adults over 65 report chronic sleep issues, yet more than 60% of those adults believe they are harmless or simply part of getting older. Here's the shocking truth. Most of these issues quietly chip away at your brain without any pain, without clear warning signs, and without you even realizing it's happening. What if I told you the single biggest factor quietly harming your brain isn't sugar, not stress, not even genetics, but something as simple and everyday as your sleep habits? I'm doctor, and after more than 20 years studying sleep and senior brain health, I've seen this exact pattern repeated countless times in my practice. Seniors come to me convinced that memory slips, irritability, or growing confusion are just inevitable parts of life. But very often, the real culprit is something far more manageable: how you're actually sleeping at night. What most people have been told about sleep is fundamentally incomplete. It's not merely about how many hours you spend in bed. Sleep is the critical time when your brain clears out harmful waste, locks in new memories, repairs nerve connections, and resets your emotional balance. When sleep gets disrupted, the brain is usually the first place to show the damage. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 5 most common sleep habits that are silently harming senior brains, along with the simple, practical adjustments you can make to protect your memory, sharpen your focus, and support your emotional health. These steps are backed by solid research from institutions like Harvard, Stanford, and the National Institute on Aging. Before we go any further, drop a comment below with just your age. I really want to see who's watching this and who might be experiencing these changes firsthand. Let me explain what's actually going on inside your brain, something nobody ever really tells you. When you reach your 60s and 70s, your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates memory, focus, and emotional regulation, starts to lose some of its natural flexibility. Picture it like a train schedule. If the trains start arriving at random, unpredictable times, chaos quickly follows. Your brain is the busy train station. When your bedtime shifts from night to night, those crucial deep sleep trains simply don't run on schedule. Clinically speaking, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your brain's master clock, relies heavily on consistent timing cues to function properly. When bedtime varies too much, deep NREM sleep, which is absolutely essential for memory consolidation, gets noticeably shortened. Researchers at the University of Colorado followed 300 adults over a full 8 years and discovered that inconsistent sleep schedules were associated with a 30% faster decline in episodic memory, even when total sleep hours remained the same. I know some of you might be skeptical right now. You may be thinking, I already sleep 7-8 hours. Why would timing make any difference? The honest truth is that quantity alone isn't the same as quality. If you've ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there, go ahead and add the word foggy to your comment right now. Many seniors find themselves lying awake in bed for 20 to 60 minutes at night, assuming it's no big deal. But here's what makes this habit particularly tricky. Your brain is essentially a powerful learning machine. When you stay awake in bed for long stretches, it begins to associate the bed with alertness and wakefulness rather than deep rest. Over time, this leads to lighter, more fragmented sleep overall. Think of it like trying to park your car in the middle of a busy intersection. The bed is supposed to be a quiet, safe garage, but lying awake turns it into rush hour traffic. Studies from Johns Hopkins that tracked 250 adults aged 65 and older found that those who spent prolonged periods awake in bed ended up experiencing 42% more nighttime awakenings and showed higher scores for morning anxiety. The subtle but real result is increased nighttime anxiety, persistent brain fog, and growing irritability, even for people who never struggled with anxiety in the past. Here's another one that catches most seniors by surprise. Going to bed very early, at 7 or 8 p.m., just to be safe, feels logical on the surface, but your brain actually needs a sufficient number of wakeful hours to build proper sleep pressure. Without that buildup, both deep sleep and REM sleep end up shortened. which directly impairs memory consolidation and emotional regulation. Imagine your brain as a sponge. If it hasn't soaked up enough wakefulness water during the day, it can't effectively squeeze itself clean and restore during the night. Researchers at the University of Michigan found that seniors who maintained early bedtimes had REM cycles that were 20% shorter, even though they were spending 9–10 hours in bed. This exact pattern can closely mimic the early signs of cognitive decline, but the good news is that it's usually reversible with the right changes. Even seemingly minor light exposure during sleep, whether it's a hallway light left on, a glowing phone screen, or the TV in the background, can block melatonin production. Melatonin is the key hormone that protects your neurons and helps initiate deep, restorative sleep. Picture your brain as a busy factory. Any lights left on at night keep the machines running inefficiently, allowing debris and waste to build up in the system. Stanford researchers demonstrated that even low levels of light at night in adults 65 and older reduced melatonin by 50%, resulting in lighter sleep stages and noticeably weaker memory formation. Many seniors underestimate this factor because the brain doesn't send immediate signals of distress. The damage accumulates quietly. A final common habit among seniors is relying on sleep aids or medications over the long term. While these can be helpful for short periods, many of them suppress the very deep NREM and REM sleep stages that are most critical for memory processing, new learning, and emotional stability. Clinical studies published in JAMA Neurology showed that seniors who used benzodiazepines nightly for more than 6 months experienced a 23% reduction in slow-wave sleep, the precise stage responsible for clearing beta-amyloid buildup and helping protect against cognitive decline. The important point is that none of these habits automatically cause permanent, irreversible damage. Your brain remains remarkably resilient, even well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. What truly matters is awareness followed by small, intentional adjustments, not fear. Let me share 2 real stories that show exactly how these sleep habits can quietly affect senior brains, and more importantly, how making changes can reverse the effects. Margaret was 72 when she first came to see me. She was frustrated, scared, and convinced her mind was slipping away. "I feel like I'm losing it," she told me. She described walking into rooms and forgetting her purpose, struggling to find the right words, and dealing with daily memory lapses. She was getting about 8 hours of sleep each night, but when we dug into her habits, she admitted her bedtime varied widely, from 9 p.m. one night to 11 p.m. the next, and she frequently lay awake for an hour worrying in bed. We started her on what I call the REST protocol, a clear, stepwise approach I'll detail in just a moment. Within 6 weeks, Margaret reported that her morning mental clarity had jumped from feeling only 40% alert to a solid 80% alert. Nighttime awakenings dropped from 4 or 5 times per night to just 1 or 2. Her anxiety eased noticeably, and her confidence began to return. Her memory wasn't flawless, but her brain finally felt rested and capable again. "I really thought I was losing my mind," she said afterward. "It turns out my brain was just exhausted." Then there was Harold, 68 years old. He had begun going to bed at 7 p.m., figuring more rest would be better for him. But he kept waking up around 3 a.m., unable to fall back asleep. Memory testing revealed mild declines in short-term recall. He had also been taking a low-dose sleep medication for several years. After we retrained his consistent wake-up time, limited nighttime light exposure, and gradually shifted his bedtime later, Harold's deep sleep increased by 35%, tracked through a wearable device. Within 8 weeks, his word recall score improved from 15 out of 20 to 19 out of 20. The morning brain fog completely lifted, and his daytime mood became much more stable. The REST protocol helped restore his natural brain repair rhythms. These aren't rare, one-off successes. Hundreds of seniors I've worked with have shown similar, measurable improvements once their sleep habits were corrected. The protocol I'm about to share has consistently led to noticeable cognitive gains in as little as 4 to 6 weeks. Now let's get to the exact protocol I use with my patients every day. I call it the REST protocol: rhythm, education, stimulus control, and timing. First, focus on rhythm by anchoring your wake-up time. Wake up at the exact same time every single morning, even after a rough night's sleep. This one habit stabilizes your circadian clock and builds stronger natural sleep pressure over time. It clearly signals to your brain when nighttime should begin. Harvard researchers have shown that consistent wake times can improve deep sleep by as much as 30% within just 2 weeks. Avoid naps longer than 20 minutes and keep them before 3 p.m. Your brain requires sufficient daytime wakefulness to generate truly restorative nighttime sleep. Actively build sleep pressure with morning light exposure and gentle movement. Get 15-20 minutes of natural morning sunlight, paired with light walking or stretching. This combination boosts sleep efficiency and helps deep sleep arrive faster. Next comes stimulus control. If you find yourself awake in bed for more than 20-30 minutes at night, get up gently, keep the lights very dim, and do something boring and non-stimulating, like reading a dull book or listening to calm, quiet audio. This retrains your brain to strongly associate the bed with rest and sleep rather than wakefulness and worry. Johns Hopkins research found this simple technique reduced nighttime awakenings by 42% in seniors after just 6 weeks. For timing, aim for an ideal bedtime window of 9:30–10:30 p.m. for most seniors. If your current bedtime is much earlier, gradually shift it later by about 15 minutes every few nights. This adjustment allows for longer periods of deep and REM sleep, which directly enhances memory consolidation. University of Michigan studies showed seniors who optimized their bedtime in this way improved their cognitive test scores by 15–20% after only 4 weeks. Finally, limit all forms of nighttime light and carefully evaluate any sleep medications with your physician. Switch to dim, warm lighting after sunset and avoid screens like phones or TVs close to bedtime. Preserving your natural melatonin levels supports deeper sleep and better memory repair processes. Even modest changes in these areas can create meaningful, lasting differences. Here's what you can realistically expect when you put the rest protocol into practice. During week 1, your sleep often becomes slightly deeper, nighttime awakenings decrease, and you start noticing a bit more morning clarity returning. By week 2, falling asleep happens more quickly, mild reductions in anxiety appear, and overall alertness improves noticeably. In weeks 3 to 4, you begin seeing clear gains in memory recall, emotional stability, and daily focus. By week 4 and beyond, deep and REM sleep stages become more consistent. You rely less on naps, and your overall mental clarity feels solidly restored. This process isn't just gradual change. It's like a gentle but powerful reboot for your brain. The improvements start subtly but become dramatically impactful once your rhythms stabilize. Let me be very clear about something important. The rest protocol is not a cure for dementia, Alzheimer's, or any other neurological disease. Never discontinue any prescribed medications without first talking to your doctor. If you have conditions like sleep apnea, serious heart issues, or clinical depression, consult your physician before making significant adjustments. Start slowly and gently. Begin by locking in your wake-up time, then gradually work on bedtime, and later incorporate stimulus control and light management. Your body and brain adapt best to gradual shifts. These changes are safe, low risk, and supported by evidence showing real brain benefits. Here's my personal challenge to you today. Choose just one single element from the rest protocol, whether it's committing to a fixed wake-up time, adjusting your bedtime, managing light exposure, or practicing stimulus control, and stick with it consistently for the next 30 days. Track how your mental clarity, mood, and memory feel each day. Then come back to this video or post and leave a comment sharing exactly what you experienced. Your stories encourage others and help create real accountability. Your brain has carried you faithfully through decades of life's ups and downs. It truly deserves better than being dismissed as just getting older. You really can support sharper memory, better focus, and steadier emotional balance simply by improving your sleep habits. Next week, I'll be back with the surprising daily habit that reverses brain fog in seniors. I promise at least one tip in that video will challenge everything you currently believe about maintaining cognitive health. If you've made it all the way to the end of this script, type "brain restored" in the comments below. Stand up one more time. Notice how your body feels. Maybe still a little stiff, tired, or foggy. That mental dullness you're noticing might not be just aging after all. Nearly half of adults over 65 deal with chronic sleep problems, yet more than 60% assume those problems are harmless or inevitable with age. The truth most people overlook is this: poor sleep habits, not sugar, not chronic stress, not genetics, are quietly affecting your brain every single day, without pain or obvious warnings. After more than 20 years focused on senior brain health, I've witnessed this same pattern over and over. Memory lapses, irritability, and confusion frequently trace back to disrupted sleep rather than unavoidable aging. Sleep goes far beyond just time spent in bed. It's the vital window when your brain clears toxic waste, consolidates memories, repairs neural connections, and resets emotional equilibrium. When sleep quality breaks down, your brain feels the impact first. I'm doctor, and after more than 20 years studying sleep and senior brain health, I've seen this pattern repeated countless times. Seniors often come in convinced that memory slips, irritability, or confusion are inevitable. But frequently the real culprit is how they sleep at night. What most people have been told about sleep is incomplete. It's not just about hours in bed. Sleep is when your brain clears waste, consolidates memories, repairs nerve connections, and resets emotional balance. When sleep is disrupted, the brain shows damage first. In the next 25 minutes, I'll cover the 5 most common sleep habits silently harming senior brains and the simple research-backed adjustments to protect memory, focus, and emotional health, drawing from studies at Harvard, Stanford, and the National Institute on Aging. Before we continue, drop your age in the comments. I want to see who's watching and experiencing these changes firsthand. When you reach your 60s and 70s, your circadian rhythm, the internal clock controlling memory, focus, and mood, loses flexibility. Think of it like a train schedule. If trains arrive randomly, chaos follows. Your brain is the station, and inconsistent bedtimes mean deep sleep trains don't run on time. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, your brain's master clock, depends on consistent cues. When bedtime varies, deep NREM sleep, vital for memory consolidation, shortens. A University of Colorado study tracking 300 adults over 8 years linked inconsistent sleep schedules to a 30% faster decline in episodic memory, even with the same total sleep hours. So even if you get 7 to 8 hours, irregular timing reduces restorative deep sleep. If you've ever walked into a room and forgotten why, type foggy in the comments. Many seniors lie awake in bed for 20-60 minutes, thinking it's harmless. But your brain associates the bed with alertness instead of rest, leading to lighter, fragmented sleep. It's like parking in a busy intersection when the bed should be a quiet garage. Johns Hopkins research on 250 adults aged 65 plus found those who stayed awake in bed long had 42% more nighttime awakenings and higher morning anxiety. This creates subtle brain fog, irritability, and even new anxiety. Going to bed too early, at 7 or 8 p.m., seems logical for more rest, but your brain needs enough wakeful hours to build sleep pressure. Without it, deep and REM sleep shorten, impairing memory and emotional regulation. Picture your brain as a sponge. Without enough wakefulness water, it can't wring itself out properly. University of Michigan studies showed seniors with early bedtimes had 20% shorter REM cycles, despite 9 to 10 hours in bed. This can mimic early cognitive decline but is often reversible. Even dim nighttime light, from hallways, phones, or TVs, blocks melatonin, the hormone that protects neurons and triggers deep sleep. Your brain is like a factory. Lights keep machines running inefficiently, leaving waste behind. Stanford research found low-level light at night reduced melatonin by 50% in adults 65 plus, causing lighter sleep and weaker memory formation. Many underestimate this because damage isn't immediately felt. Long-term use of sleep medications, while helpful short-term, often suppresses deep NREM and REM, the stages critical for memory, learning, and emotional stability. JAMA neurology studies showed seniors using benzodiazepines nightly for over 6 months had a 23% reduction in slow-wave sleep, the stage that clears beta amyloid and protects against cognitive decline. None of these habits guarantee permanent damage. The brain remains resilient in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Awareness and small adjustments matter more than fear. Consider Margaret, 72, who felt her mind slipping, forgetting why she entered rooms, struggling for words, growing anxious. She slept 8 hours, but had irregular bedtimes, and often lay awake an hour worrying. After 6 weeks on the rest protocol, her morning clarity rose from 40 to 80%, awakenings dropped from 4 or 5 to 1 or 2, and anxiety eased. "I thought I was losing my mind," she said. "It turns out my brain was just exhausted." Harold, 68, went to bed at 7 p.m., thinking more rest helped, but woke at 3 a.m. unable to return to sleep. He relied on low-dose sleep medication and showed mild short-term recall decline. After fixing wake times, limiting light, and shifting bedtime, his deep sleep rose 35% via tracker. Word recall improved from 15 to 19 out of 20, fog lifted, and mood stabilized. These measurable improvements are common when habits change. The rest protocol I use with patients stands for rhythm, education, stimulus control, timing. Anchor your wake-up time, same every morning, even after poor sleep, to stabilize your circadian clock. Harvard research shows this boosts deep sleep by 30% in 2 weeks. Avoid naps longer than 20 minutes before 3 p.m. to build natural sleep pressure. Get 15-20 minutes of morning sunlight and gentle movement, like walking, to support restorative sleep. For stimulus control, if awake over 20-30 minutes at night, get out of bed, keep lights dim, and do something boring and non-stimulating. This retrains the brain to link bed with rest. Johns Hopkins found it cut awakenings by 42% in seniors over 6 weeks. Aim for bedtime between 9:30–10:30 p.m., gradually shift later by 15 minutes every few nights for longer deep and REM sleep. University of Michigan data showed 15 to 20% cognitive gains in 4 weeks with optimized timing. Limit nighttime light with dim, warm bulbs and review medications with your doctor to preserve melatonin and deep sleep. With rest, week 1 brings deeper sleep and fewer awakenings, with morning clarity returning. Week 2 sees faster sleep onset, better alertness, and reduced anxiety. Weeks 3 to 4 deliver noticeable memory, focus, and emotional gains. Beyond week 4, deep and REM stabilize, naps become less needed, and mental clarity feels restored, a true brain reboot. Rest is not a cure for dementia or neurological diseases. Never stop prescribed medications without consulting your doctor. If you have sleep apnea, heart conditions, or depression, check with your physician first. Start gently. Fix wake time, then bedtime, then add stimulus control and light adjustments. These are safe, low-risk changes with proven benefits. My challenge: pick one rest element, wake time, bedtime, light exposure, or stimulus control, and commit for 30 days. Track clarity, mood, and memory, then comment with your results. Your brain has carried you through decades. It deserves better than being dismissed as just aging. Next week, I'll cover the surprising daily habit that reverses brain fog in seniors. One tip will challenge what you think about cognitive health. If you reach the end, type "brain restored" in the comments. Thank you for watching. Drop your age, foggy, or "I'm in" below. Protect your sleep. It's one of the kindest things you can do for your mind.